Hello, Tam Fam. Hello, how are you? Happy New Year to you. Thank you for stopping by my channel. If you are new, thank you so much for stopping by. Today I am taking part in the January Mystery Box Challenge, and I will give you some more details about that. But basically, we are sent some items. We get 3 items from the craft store of the Dollar Tree, and then 2 items from anywhere in the store, or it can just be any random item. So those are your challenge items, and the goal is for you to come up with 1 to 2 DIYs using all of the items. So as you watch, you will see that I was able to squeeze every item into one DIY, and then I just kept going because I still had leftover materials and I just had a lot of fun with this challenge. So I am starting out with my first DIY, and this piece here, I am taking it apart. So just to back up, I had a calendar, rubber bands, this blackboard thingamajiggy bob. I also had the canvas, and I had the fabric square, which is the red and black buffalo check. So here I took the first piece apart and I'm sanding down the edges so I can make it as possible. Then I decided to remove the canvas just so I can get the wooden frame, and that's what I'm going to be using for this first DIY. So I'm just using a box cutter and then my pliers to just help me along the process. So now I'm just going to take a cardboard or the back of an old picture frame, because in addition to the items we were sent, we can also use any items that we need in order to create our projects. So I'm using this cardboard and I'm trying to cut out a frame that I'm going to cut and stick inside of the canvas frame. So I'm just taking a box cutter to do that, and this part was a little tedious because I have to measure and remeasure, then try to fit it in, then cut this piece back off, so it took me a little time. So at any rate, I'm now just going to be taking out those pieces that you can use to hang on the wall, because I don't need those, because I want my cardboard to be as flat as possible, since I am going to be gluing paper down on it. So here you see now it fits perfectly into my frame, and as I said before, that part was tedious. I'm not showing you that, but it did take me a while, trial and error, to get it in. Just want to say a quick thank you to Leah over at Junker Necker for hosting this collab, and Favi at Arrows DIY for co-hosting this collab. So what I decided to do was to flip through the calendar, and I'm creating a spring and a Valentine's Day DIY all in one. If you're new to my channel, I like to make things that have dual purposes. And I love having a spring party on one side and a Valentine's party on the next. I really just like to maximize my products and get more than one usage out of it. I also like to take apart my old DIYs and use them to create something new. So here what I decided to do, guys, this calendar had some really beautiful pieces in it, and I thought to myself, gee, why should I just use the one page for the month of February or March, and then I won't ever have that page again after I've used it, right? wrong. I don't know how many of you guys have these calendars and use them, but what I thought to do was, hey Tam, again with my frugal brain and having more than one purposes, I literally just put that bad boy on my HP printer and I printed several copies. But here's the trick, I printed it on photo paper, so it came out nice and glossy and brilliant and vibrant. So now I still have my calendar intact and I can take it down and use it, use the pages anytime I want by just making copies. So a free tip for y'all. Remember, you got it from me. Okay, so I'm going to put the spring on one side. As you can see, I'm just using some double-sided tape. And then I'm going to put the Valentines on the other side. So you want to be as precise as you can with these, because remember, you're going to try to fit it in. So I did take some time to make sure that it was perfectly aligned and straight. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just go around with my sharp edge and just clean off the excess. But I actually found that it was easier to just take my scissors and do that at the end. So the next thing I want to do is, I don't want to keep this wood frame, this raw natural tone. I want to give it a nice little pop. So I whipped out my walnut stain, and I'm just using some paper towels and just dipping it several times and just going over the frame. So I also did that for all the wood pieces that I'm using for this project. I just did it all at once. So I did the frame, then I did the piece that I took from the other little blackboard frame, and I also did some dowels that I'm going to be using for another bonus project and the other part of the blackboard. So here I just found this little wooden circle. It's about 1 inch in diameter, and here I'm taking the rubber bands and I'm just cutting them and hot gluing them. Now this process was also very tedious because hot glue and rubber band really don't mix, but I couldn't figure out another way to quickly adhere the rubber band to the wood, so I just kept at it. So I just kept going around and around, and I'm just trying to make a little flower. And the next thing I'm going to do is spray paint it with like a shimmery copper gold color. Now I tried doing the same thing with the heart, this little heart shape, but it just was not working. So once my pieces are dry, what I'm going to do now is to just hot glue. I'm going to center it and hot glue the frame to the little wooden base, because basically I'm using it as a base so that my project can stand. So by the way, guys, the way this works is you get sent your items, and then you have to send 5 items as well to the next person that you get. So Becky D, please check out her channel and her DIY. She sent me these 5 products, and then I sent my 5 products to Favi over at Arrows DIY. So please make sure you go and check both of those channels, in addition to the playlist and everybody else on this mystery box swap, to see how they chose to use the items that they received for this challenge. And I think this is so cool, guys. And at first I couldn't figure out what to do, but the challenge just, you know, the brain works really good under pressure. So I had these items for at least 2 weeks and I couldn't figure it out until maybe 3 days before my brain started to really work. So here I've just popped the piece in. I took a little piece of that string, and I decided to just make a little hanging piece. That way you could stick photos on here, or any little thing you want to stick on here would be perfectly fine. So that's what the flower looked like with the rubber band. So far you see I have used all 4 of these pieces. Now what I ended up doing is that little heart that I had trouble with, I just cut a little piece of the fabric and put on there. So there is how I use all 5 items for the challenge in this one DIY. And I'm actually proud of myself because I was able to do it. So I really love this. Here is the February reveal, the Valentine's Day decor, and then when you turn it around, here comes spring, y'all. And surely I can add different seasons as the year progresses, because that's how I like to use DIYs that you can use for every season. And I really liked how this came out, and I like that it's freestanding, and that was my goal. So let me know what you think in the comments. So the next thing, I was really stumped with this rubber band, and this was before I got the idea to make the flower. So I decided to grab a vase from the Dollar Tree and just take the rubber bands and try to just crisscross and do random placements, so that when I spray paint, I would get the reveal of the little peeps of the natural glass peeking out. So that also was tedious because the type of bowl that I use, vase that I use, it kept sliding off. So I went and spray painted it, and now it is dry. So here I go with the fabric, and I'm just going to cut a little heart out of this fabric. So I'm just using my rotary cutters. And I just continued to cut and reshape it until I got to the shape that I like. So what I'm going to be making here with this vase is a little cloche. And I'm going to take a crystal knob that I have. I'm just going to hot glue it generously on the top. And then you're going to see how this looks. And then I'm actually also going to place the heart shape on it. So the host of this collab is Leah over at Junker Knicker, and the co-host is Favi at Arrows DIY. And I'm so grateful for them to have invited me to be a part of this challenge. Lord knows I haven't done a DIY or a anything YouTube related in quite some time. I've actually been working on some planners and things of the sort, and making some jewelry, and then I'm just getting back into my DIY groove after the end of the Christmas season. So this is what it looks like, guys. Please let me know what you think. Even if I used it as a vase without the cloche portion of it, and just had turned the heart upside down, it would still look nice as just a regular vase. But I do like the idea of lifting it up and putting it down, lifting up the top and having the candle just flicker. I really do like that. See how it's reflecting through the different the indentation that the rubber bands made. I love that. And this is the same spray paint that I use on the little rubber band, so it's very mild. It's like a shimmery copper. So my final project, and this is a bonus project, I decided I was gonna try to, actually I made a lantern out of this using the canvas, and I didn't like how it came out, so I took it apart and I decided to just make a little mini tray. So again, I had already used my walnut stain on this piece, and I'm just getting these little dowels from the Dollar Tree and I'm marking them at 1-inch markers so that I can make the handles for the tray. And these wooden dowels I also put the stain on. So I'm just using my miter shears and I am making my 1-inch cuts, and then I'm going to use the other 2 pieces for the long parts of the handle and just cut those as well. And then a little hot glue magic, and that is that. So I am really liking how these projects turned out, and I like how versatile they are, and I really enjoyed, because I always hear about mystery boxes and I always think, wow, you have to be really creative to use these random items and create something that is noteworthy, you know? And so I challenged myself and I really liked how it came out. And then at the end, I started getting so many different ideas, which was so funny because for 2 weeks I couldn't think of one thing to do. Because what I did not want to do was the obvious. I didn't want to just use the canvas and you know, so I took it apart, and then here I'm just gonna take these little Jenga blocks and double them up so that I can have an elevated tray, a little mini elevated tray, and it is so cute. And that's it, she is done, guys, and here's what she looks like. So I just wrote spring on it, and then I just decided to display these little items on it just to show you how it could be used. And I absolutely love how it turned out. So again, guys, I'm going to link all the information with the playlist in my description box below, and I probably will link it to my comments as well. So please go over and check out Miss Becky D over at Simply Becky DIY. I know she's going to have some fabulous DIYs with the items that she was sent. And then Favi, I want to see what she did with the items I sent her. And please check out Leah and over at Junker Necker, also Tammy at Rusted Willow, Mary at Mary's Kind of Crafty, of course Becky, myself, Tamara of Love My Babies Forever, Miss Mary over at MB Great Designs, and Miss Nancy over at Little Treasures. So the playlist with all of our videos will be linked in our description boxes and in our comments. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. Please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share. And again, Happy New Year. And so here are the items displayed. I had a fabulous time. Thank you so much, Favi and Leah, for your invite. I hope that you guys are safe, happy, healthy, and blessed. And I am truly grateful for you guys, for those of you who are still here rocking with me. And I will see you in the next video.